Good day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in this episode we are bringing you African news. Here is your headlines. Ethiopia closes camps housing Eritrean refugees in Tigray after reports of attack. In Ethiopia, pregnant women struggle to find support, stability after displacement from Tigray region in Ethiopia. And in our last story, why Ethiopia needs to open its telecom market. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our news in details. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break now. Two camps in Ethiopia's Tigray region housing Eritrean refugees have been shut and the occupants relocated, authorities said on Thursday, after the United Nations said residents had reported attacks, including by suspected Eritrean troops. The UNHCR Refugee Agency has called for protection for the residents of the Shimelba and the Hitsas camp, which it says were attacked by armed men who killed and abducted refugees. On February 1, it said residents had reported that Eritrean troops had forced some refugees back into Eritrea. Accusations of an Eritrean military presence are one of the most contentious issues in Tigray, where the central government has claimed victory over a rebellious regional government in a conflict that began in November. Eritrea and Ethiopia have both denied that Eritrean troops operated on Ethiopian territory. The ousted Tigrayan regional authorities and many residents accuse Eritrea of intervening on the central government's behalf. Tesfahun Gobeze, Director General of Ethiopia's Agency for Refugees and Returnees Affairs, the ARRA, confirmed the camp closures, first reported by the state news agency on Wednesday. The state-appointed Human Rights Commission reported on Thursday that Shimelba and the Hitsas have been destroyed. Tesfahun told the media that disruption was an overstatement. There was a lot of fighting in those areas, not in the camps, but in those areas where the camps are located, he said. Refugees didn't get the necessary services quickly, and also they panicked due to the firing happening around the camps. So they left the camps, and Eritrean Defense Forces sheltered them and escorted them to the nearest towns in Tigray, he said. He said that 5,300 refugees had gone to two other refugee camps in Tigray. Others were now in Tigray towns or the capital, Addis Ababa. Chris Melzer, a UNHCR spokesman, said the agency concurred with the conclusion that the camps were now unsafe. Considering the reports of attack on Hitsas and the Shimelba, the reports of abduction, destruction, looting, and killing of humanitarian staff, decisions to relocate must be voluntary and movements must be organized in safety and dignity, he said. Aid agencies say they have been unable to reach the camp since the conflict erupted in Tigray. Reports from all sides are difficult to verify because communication to the region remain patchy and the government tightly controls access. The United Nations said on February 1 that refugees who had fled from the two camps spoke of infiltration of armed actors in the camps, of killing, abduction, and also some forced returns to Eritrea at the hands of Eritrean forces. In December, the United Nations team was shot at when it tried to reach the Shimelba camp. Two diplomatic sources told the media the UN team had encountered uninformed troops from Eritrea. The Eritrean government's emergency task force from Tigray did not immediately respond to questions about the camps, while the Prime Minister's office offered the media to the ARRA. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed launched a military campaign in Tigray to remove the region's then ruling Tigray People's Liberation Front, the TPLF, after the government said regional forces attacked federal troops. Abiy has declared victory, but low-level fighting has continued in the areas. Protests broke out in the regional capital Mekelle on Tuesday and continued on Wednesday, with residents blocking roads, protesting against reported killings by Eritrean troops and the failure of elders to stop the war. One person was shot dead after soldiers opened fire on protesters, according to residents and an aid worker. Etneshe Niguse, spokeswoman for a government-appointed interim administration in Tigray, said she needed to check casualty reports with security. She told the media the presence of the Eritrean army in Tigray was a major issue raised at a meeting of religious leaders, elders, and public on Tuesday. Moving on to our second story for today, pregnant women struggle to find support, stability after displacement from Tigray region in Ethiopia. When we think about your future, you never plan to be uprooted from the comfort of your home and find fragile safety in a tent, said Hewat, 24-year-old from Ethiopia's embattled Tigray region. Yet, it is exactly where she found herself in early December. While she was 7 months pregnant, fighting intensified around her neighborhood, forcing her and her husband to flee. As fighting came close to our house, my safety and that of my baby became an utmost priority. We had no choice but to run for our lives, she told the UNFPA. Hewat's journey was long and dangerous. We had to travel from Shire in the Tigray region to Dabat in Amara region. It took us 3 full days to reach our destination. We were first on foot, but then I became so tired that we took the risk of hitchhiked. Throughout the ordeal, her main concern was safeguarding her pregnancy. I was afraid that I would fall sick. There would be no one to help me on the way, and I would lose my baby. Leaving everything behind before the conflict in Tigray erupted in November, things were looking good for Hewat and her family. She made an income as a chef, something she greatly enjoyed. And about 8 months ago, she found out that she was pregnant with her first child. My husband and I were thrilled. We were finally going to have a baby, and we were going to pamper him or her. We started planning for the child's future. Those plans have now been abandoned. I had to leave everything behind, my belongings, my jewelry, and my livelihood that gave me some independence and strength. My cooking set. I only managed to bring with me 2 dresses and some underwear as well, as the little money we had kept at home, she said. 3 days of walking and hitchhiking brought them to Dabat in the Gonda, where aid groups have established a site for internally displaced people. There are currently 630 households with around 100,870 individuals in the Dabat displacement site. Of them, 490 people are estimated to be women and girls of reproductive age. Hewat and her husband share a tent with their neighbors from Tigray. Today, the fighting in Tigray is ongoing and access to humanitarian aid is limited, while conditions are deteriorating, according to a United Nations report. In the Amara region, tens of thousands of people are targeted to offer assistance. Displacement and uncertainty have already taken a serious toll on everyone. We are desperate now, she said. Both my husband and I are unemployed and have become reliant on others. We are not sure what we will do when the baby arrives next month, where to give birth and under what conditions are major concerns. She is not alone in this. There are an estimated 36 pregnant women in the Dabat displacement site, all in need of reproductive health care, as well as other support, including psychosocial services. The UNFPA is working to urgently provide this care in close collaboration with the Gonda City Administration Health Office. The UNFPA is hiring midwives for the health centers serving the women and girls at the site. The UNFPA is also distributing reproductive health kits to birth attendants, which will ensure midwives on call have the supplies needed for safe deliveries. Women who are 6 months or further along in their pregnancies will also receive clean delivery kits, which contain emergency supplies including a sterile sheet, gloves and razor to help them deliver whether at the displacement site or in the health center. The UNFPA will also establish a women's safe space and a child-friendly space where children and women can seek mental health and psychosocial support and receive important information. These services are critical for those who, like Hewitt, are struggling to come to terms with their new reality. I have nightmares about how I will keep the baby alive with no income and living in such a difficult condition, she told the UNFPA, tearing apart. And in our last story for today, why Ethiopia needs to open its telecom market. April 5th, 2021 promises to be a milestone in Ethiopia's journey to become a digital economy. Bids are due to be submitted by potential investors for 2 new full-service telecommunication licenses to be awarded to the Ethiopian Communications Authority, the ECA. The 2 new operators would compete with Ethio Telecom in mobile communications, internet, and other telecom services. Ethiopia is one of the last countries in the world to have retained a state-owned monopoly provider of telecom network and services, a market which is dominated by the private sector in most countries. Opening the market to private sector competition and foreign investment is expected to bring lower prices, higher quality of service, and more choice for consumers. It will also lay the foundations for Ethiopia's future digital transformation. The World Bank Group was invented by the government of Ethiopia to support the process of market reform. The International Finance Corporation, the IFC, the private sector arm of bank, is assisting the ECA with the license awards. The World Bank itself is supporting the partial plagiarization and the privatization of Ethio Telecom and the strengthening of ECA as an independent sector regulator, following its establishment in September 2019. The call for expressions of interest from potential investors, launched in May 2020, attracted 12 bidders, including many well-known telecom operators from around the world. Now the request for proposal phase is underway, with every effort being made to consult with the private sector and to respond to their many concerns and questions. This is where we end today's episode on African News. Make sure you like, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Thanks for watching.